All right, so your underlying energy is the Nine of Swords. Not very nice. Underneath that, you have the Sun. Okay, so there, it's like there's some things that you know that may have to go down, but it's almost like you're still worried about something going wrong, guys. It's almost like there's something that could happen, right? There's always something that can happen, anything that can happen, swing either direction, either way. And I know it's been a very tough year for a lot of you Saggies, right? Saturn was in your fucking sign for like 3 years. That was crazy. And then at the same time, right? Jupiter's back in there, but then you're realizing that a lot of the stuff that he's in, right? He's opened the door to. It's actually expanded a lot of your situations. It's kind of hard to miss now. But I feel like also that has a lot to do with your own personal doubts, which of course has every reason to be there since Saturn was in your placement for a while, in your sign. But it's not necessarily something to worry about because one, right, the situation isn't really happening. You're in your bed, you're not sleeping very well, and I feel like a lot of you guys too. It's so honestly, these are reasonable things to be stressed about, but they're not to cause you such stress that you can't do anything about. Right, and I think that's the situation, right? There's so much you can do, but it's like the fear of something going wrong or the anticipation of something going wrong, that's the thing that's holding you back right now. Because in the heart of your reading, you have a great start. The challenge is starting something new. That's all you got to do. Start something new. Ace of Pentacles. Get something, get something in the direction in which you guys can actually start seeing progress and benefit from in a very stable way, right? You want to see some results, you want to be in the direction of which you want to be stable. You want to have the potential to go somewhere and feel like you got, everything that you need. You're feeling pretty solid. But it's also something, that you can feel it like you could commit to 100%. You want to truly invest yourself in something. And I feel like that's the thing, right? Finding that or starting that. But what's crossing is the Three of Swords. Now Pentacles are cool and all, they're exciting, but like, it's another thing to commit yourself to something that may not become very enjoyable for a long period of time. It's like, what can last you a long time that you can enjoy, that you don't have to worry about getting bored with? And the Three of Swords has a lot to do with perhaps the Knight of Wands, which is not only your goal, aim, ambition, but also the way you get to your goal, aim, ambition, okay? And I feel like the Three of Swords has a lot to do with old issues, old problems, things that have come back up in the past. Whether that is the stability for you, maybe feeling very stable, feeling like you're in a committed situation, someone you could trust, someone that's willing to work with you, or this is talking about you having actually a good time, enjoying yourself, or something that, something lasting longer than 5 minutes in regards to enjoyment, right? Because it's, you can probably dedicate yourself for a long period of time to something, but the second it starts to get boring, the second it starts to get unexciting, you're done. It's not worth it. It's not entertaining. It's nothing. Okay, so I don't know exactly what your own personal Three of Swords is, right? Because this is for YouTube. This is for a lot of you guys. So there's a lot of different things I just spewed out that may resonate for some of you guys out here. But the situation that's keeping you mostly from being able to start something new has a lot to do with the Three of Swords. Has a lot to do with, the past being a great deciding factor as to whether or not you do something or not. Now, in the past, you had the King of Pentacles. You guys could have interacted with a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn here, or you guys could have been very focused on finances or something practical. You may have been really focused on being more stable, feeling, more solid in yourself. For some of you guys, this may have a lot to do with, with finding, with family. It could have been like having to do with being in a more stable place for you and your family. Or this could have to do with you being in a relationship. Because a lot of this could be that you are more stressed out about starting something new with someone because there's a lot of old stuff that are, that's rising up from the surface. Cancer North Node and Jupiter set in Sag will do that to you, right? So there's a lot of stuff, old issues that you thought were kind of done, bubbling to the surface. And I think you're realizing right now there's a lot of hurt that you're still feeling. There's a lot of disappointment and sadness that you're still feeling, even if they have been there for a long time, even though, you may have not really looked at the situation. And some of you guys, you may have already known that they were there, always have known, but I have a feeling that this is like really coming to the surface, So Do you feel like you started out in a relationship feeling really committed, hardcore into this relationship, but then there's this sort of distance here with the Three of Wands? Like, I think there was this period of waiting, and that's the hard part. I think there's a bit of patience that's required, but there's also something that's needed to be done at that time. And I feel like this is the situation. It's like, with the Three of Wands that you have, you've put all the work that you could into a situation. You're waiting for it to come back to you, right? This is the Three of Wands, right? You're waiting for your ships to return. But I feel like with that said, I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're still trying to figure out what to do. Because honestly, with idle hands is the devil's work. But you're not doing any work, I feel like, because it's honestly like, you know that you're doing the best that you can. It's just that you don't really know what to do now. I'm kind of getting that impression. Like, you've done everything, and you're just like, what do I do next? And I feel like there's always something you can do, right? There's always something you can do. And I feel like right now you're just trying to kind of keep yourself busy until the time comes to where whatever you've manifested to come in. But the Three of Swords was also crossing that, so it's getting me a little concerned. So are you expecting more heartache? Is that why you're stressed out? Are you expecting more pain? Or are you expecting for the situation to finally resolve itself? Maybe the Three of Wands is like, the reason why you may not have anything to do right now outside of yourself, it may be because the work is actually internal, right? Because we got the Nine of Swords here. That's always going to send me back to you, your mindset, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. The things that you're thinking is what's causing you to feel the way you feel. And I feel like that's the thing, right? What you're left with, as far as this patience go, has a lot to do with your own personal stuff that you have been buried for a long time, that you have buried for some time now. Right? I think you've been keeping this to yourself, and I think it's been kind of untreated, right? The Three of Swords will talk about an untreated wound, right? I feel like the reason why you have this kind of like patch of a period of nothing moving, and the reason why your stress is getting higher and higher and higher, and a lot of this anxiety is coming up, is because there's a lot of stuff that may be personal to you that you may have to address as when you're waiting for whatever it is to that's coming back to you, right? Whether this is a person, a message, or a sign to move forward in a project at work, or when it comes to a certain house move, or whatever you've got going on, this is something that's in the process of coming about. It's very temperance-y kind of energy I'm feeling, but the Three of Swords is giving me a very hermit kind of feel to it too. Like there's some sort of healing of your inner child that needs to take place at this time, which is probably why you're just like, there's a lot of waiting for something, but this kind of like, you don't know what to do in the meantime because you've done everything that you could have, right? Because the King of Pentacles, you mastered that. The financial aspect, there's something emotional that needs to kind of needs to be resolved, and it has a lot to do with a perspective, which has a lot to do with the past. Now, your projected future is the Nine of Wands. Now, the projected future is interesting because it's showing the Nine of Wands. It's pretty much telling me that you get more defensive. You kind of hold back, It's one of those cards where you've been battered, you've been exhausted, you've worked your behind off, and instead of kind of taking things on with open arms, you're kind of a bit shy about it. I think you're more eager to complete the cycle out, but the thing is that you've been hurt enough times to keep a wall up, to kind of block things off. Because if you keep things from coming into your life, good, bad stuff, you're also keeping away the good. And I know the intention is to kind of keep yourself safe with that Nine of Wands, but that's the thing, right? I think the biggest step for this is the Three of Swords. That's the biggest thing, because the more you wait and not treat these Three of Swords here, pull the swords out, the more and more and more mentally, jarring you're going to feel when the thing actually comes. Okay? it's just gonna really this. I feel like it's honestly how you see yourself is like you're not sure if you're ready. You don't know if you want it. That's kind of the whole thing. The Nine of Wands doesn't typically say that. It's more of the card. It's a card that indicates like, well, you know, even though I've been through hell and back, I am still going to finish the situation out. I'm not going to give up on this, and I do feel like you don't. I feel like you guys are going to stick with it to the very end, complete the cycle out. But for some of you guys, this is also building up a wall. Like you don't know if you could trust the other person. You don't know if you can, you know, have a relationship with this individual because you don't want to get hurt again. You just gone through a hell of a lot of pain already and exhaustion. You've been through a lot, or regardless. So I feel like with the Nine of Wands in your future, where you're standing is that you're expecting something to prove to you that your fears were right. You know, the reason why you have your wall up, right? But I feel like with the Nine of Wands is also indicating that your boundaries may be too tight for what's to come. That the boundaries may be tight because of what you've experienced, rather than what needs to be placed for you to actually have what you want to come in. Like I said, the Nine of Wands indicates that there's a wall being put up to protect yourself, but that wall can very well also keep good things in. It's about having a good understanding or good balance of what boundaries you need to have for yourself. So whatever you know, so whatever comes in, you can feel confident about handling it and feel stable in regards to the boundaries and the structure that you have, you know, to protect yourself from whatever happens if it doesn't necessarily go the way you expected or if you didn't anticipate that. And the best advice that the cards can give you is the Knight of Wands. Right? And I agree with this because your goal and ambition is to just enjoy yourself, live the life that you want to live, have, you know, feel good about, you know, where you're going, you know, feel good about what you're doing, really feel passionate about the relationships that you're in, you know, that you've got, feel passionate about the feel passionate about the steps that you're taking to grow this relationship or grow this business or grow whatever. And the reason why the Knight of Wands is coming up for you guys like this, I feel like is also to also remind you that you're a Sagittarian. You guys don't think ahead like that, you know, like not in a sense of like, oh, you guys just do stuff and you don't prepare for it. No, no, no. You don't think about things to the point where it, you know, you perpetuates this Nine of Swords issue, where you think about, well, if this happens, X, Y, and Z. No, no, no. You know, it's not Virgo step by step for you guys. You're like, let me experience everything moment to moment, because you know that the most that you can get out of a situation is by living in the moment. So being a Sagittarius in this moment is the best way possible. I mean, we are in Sagittarius season, and I don't know if I said it in the very, very beginning of this video. Happy birthday, Sagittarians. Really, happy birthday. But this is your moment to be you. This is your season. This is your excuse to be a Sag. As if you needed one anyway. But this is your even more excuse, because you're holding a lot of pressure on yourself, because there's some things that you may feel like may go a way that you may not desire. And I feel like that's the thing. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it turning left field. Know that you will be able to handle the situation when it arises. Because if you think about it, the King of Pentacles is prepared for anything, even if it is impromptu, because he's got a routine, he's got to structure a pattern or a routine for himself, not about the lifestyle around him or the external. He's got it personally. And Knight of Wands, he's got his own rules and methods too. And that's why doing things as it comes. Don't worry about what happens later on. And it makes sense here with this Five of Swords here with the Three of Wands. It's just like, it's almost as if you have a bit of doubt whether or not this is something that you truly want to have come to you, right? Because this the Three of Wands is the manifestation card, is because you're putting in work as you're waiting for the things to come in. But I feel like with this Five of Swords, which can indicate self-sabotage, it can indicate, you know, selfishness, greed. It can indicate, I mean, greed in my eyes. I don't think a lot of readers read it that way, but greed in the sense of you wanting to have what you want regardless of who is in your way, you know? And I feel like that's why I felt like this is very temperance sort of energy, because sometimes you do need to just focus on yourself and not worry about anything else, not worry about a certain outcome. If somebody gets cut in the process, then is it something that you're going to be okay with, right? If they kind of do their own thing and not think about you or whatever, right? If you just have to do what you feel like you have to do, are you okay with, with cutting ties? Are you okay with doing what you feel like you need to do to get to where you want to be? Because honestly, you're going to have to live with either with the consequences of just letting it go or being stickler about what you want. You're allowed to have whatever you're allowed to have, but it's all about the sacrifice. And I feel like that's the thing that you're most afraid of, is that there's something here as well that you may have to sacrifice in the process of you doing something. You may say goodbye to a certain piece of something that you've been wanting. Like, I think you want the whole package, but there's something here that you may have to surrender, right? And I think that's the part that's kind of scary about this whole thing, is that, and what brings up the three of swords, it's like, what are you going into this incomplete with? Right? And it's like, you never go into anything incomplete. And that's why you start out with the King of Pentacles. That's why you come out, the first card of the tarot is the Magician, number 1. The Fool, yeah, but that's the 0. The first is the Magician. He's got all the tools, the skills, and everything he needs. And the 5 of Swords is like, what are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? To get what you feel like you need? Is it worth it? Is it something that you're willing to sacrifice? Is something that you're willing to do and to get whatever? And if you can come to terms with it, then yeah, you're good. But if it's going to continue to perpetuate the 3 of Swords issue, then I think it's important to look at what these 3 of Swords are, why are you feeling the way you feel, and then make the steps accordingly, right? In the moment when it comes. You don't have to plan for it. You could just react to it when it comes to it, right? Because I don't think you have all the information either. Because of the 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands is waiting. Now your outcome is the Tower, and I see this is also some sort of change, some really drastic change in your life, guys. Really big changes coming your way. Either you do them, which I feel like this is mostly you, instead of just letting, Uranus do its thing. I feel like there's a lot of you guys are really causing a lot of changes in your life that will definitely benefit you for the better. I do. But you may not see that immediately with this. But the thing is that you're going to realize the foundation has stable from the very beginning. Obviously, the 3 of Swords. But that's how you start off with the new beginning with the Ace of Pentacles there, is by recognizing what kind of foundation you're starting out with and planning to start from scratch. Sometimes you got a pretty good solid base to start with, but it's also okay to notice that, hey, right now, I'm not in a good place. I'm not happy. I'm not where I want to be. And in order for you to make progress forward, you have to figure out what you need to do to stabilize yourself. For you, not for anybody else, but for you. Interesting reading, Sag. Really interesting. Let me go ahead and pull your Romance Angels and your Whispers of Love. Yeah, Saggies, happy birthday. I forgot to say that at the very beginning. Release your ex. This time has come to clear your energy, and that is very 3 of Swords. Very 3 of Swords. Very 3 of Swords in death, but that's the thing. Releasing your ex doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, you gotta break up with your boo. That's not necessarily what that means, right? And sometimes you do have to let go of your ex if that's the person or the reason why you have a certain belief system, or why you have a certain, or the reason why you may think a certain way, like the 9 of Swords, right? Maybe the reason why you get stressed out. If they are the reason, it's time to forgive that energy and let it go. And I say that, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's super easy, but the second we start complicating stuff, the more it starts to get more complicated than it needs to be. And it says, you're limitless, Sag. Realize this truth that you can do anything you choose to do, and that is the damn truth. All right, whether Jupiter's in your sign or not, you guys are the signs of magic. You know that? You guys are magical. You guys can do whatever the hell you want to do, and it come true. My father, for instance, I don't know if he's cool with me talking about this, but He was sitting on a couch one day and he was thinking about birds. And a swarm of birds just flew by the side of the house. He manifested that. And it's not because he was just wanting to see if he had that power. He was just thinking, chilling out. He was decompressing after work. And it's that kind of magic is what is stirring inside you every day, Sag. And it's not about the physical stuff, right? Because that thing those are earthly attachments, or is the very thing that keeps you guys from doing to being that limitless person. And it's because it could be that you may have been raised to believe that you have to have X, Y, Z. Maybe it's because you feel like you have to have those things to feel like you mean something, to feel like you have some sort of grounding. But that foundation is faulty. And I feel like that's what you're coming to realize. Whatever this Three of Swords is, that's the real situation that's keeping you from tapping into your unlimited potential. And that faulty foundation has a lot to do with release your ex, release those old issues, the things that keep you from being the best that you can be. And it's not you that's the problem. It's the things that you're holding on to that get you guys riled up in a way that doesn't push you to be your Sagittarian selves. Because the whole point of this is to get you back to being that Sagittarian energy. Full of life of the party, doing what you love, not stressed out about the outcome, just doing you without any sort of regrets. Because this is a very regretful position, I see. And it's because of everything you've been through, right? It's like I said, the Nine of Wands, you've been through so much with that. So there's something here that's got you guys really stressed, and I feel like that piece of that puzzle, whatever it is, it has to be forgiven. It has to be released. Even if it's someone else's fault. Remember, I always say in these readings, guys, when I say forgive somebody, I'm not saying to condone the actions that they've done if this is someone else's doing. But this is talking about allowing yourself to be free by not allowing that pain to keep you enslaved anymore. Right? It's not about condoning someone's actions, because they shouldn't have done whatever they should have did. And that's, and it happens. Things happen. But the point of it all is that can you get back on that horse? Can you ride to the sunset? Because you have the sun. You know what you need to do to be happy. But that still was stressing you out. No matter how clear it is, it's still stressing you out, guys.